Good, happy Sunday morning. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Sunday morning edition of Politics with Riley King. It is Sunday, September 22nd, 2019. Let's begin. First up, Lewandowski sets high bar for GOP Senate candidates to keep him out of race. Super PAC supporting his prospective bid received 15,000 sign-ups hours after going live, organizers say. Republican candidate Bolducki says service in U.S. Senate can't be pressured. Retired general responded to Lewandowski's settling $2 million fundraising bar. Republican U.S. Senate candidate and retired Berg Gene Donald Bolduc says the New Hampshire seat up for grabs next year can't be purchased and it's not for sale. Republican presidential candidate Sanford hopes New Hampshire voters give him chance. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Strict attention to detail. That's what sets Kubota Construction Equipment apart. It's how we
Yes, ma'am.
Mark Sanford wants to be of service. He's doing everything he can to meet voters on the First in the Nation campaign trail.
And if you love people, there's nothing better than politics in terms of your chance to learn things, to hear points of view.
Why do you want to take my guns, man?
I don't want to take your guns.
Some assume the former South Carolina governor and congressman is one of the many Democrats seeking the White House, but he's a conservative Republican mounting a primary challenge to President Donald Trump.
I think the Republican Party has lost its way of late. I think that a lot of the things that we've traditionally stood for have gone by the wayside.
For Sanford, that means changing the tone in the Oval Office and cutting spending on Capitol Hill. It's a message that hit home with at least a few Republicans in downtown Exeter.
Hi, good luck.
The Republican Party has been hijacked. Those of us who want decency, those of us who want a government that we look up to, those of us who want to be led by statesmen that are thoughtful and well-read and knowledgeable, have nowhere to go.
Not every Republican is as welcoming. Sanford is asking for voters to just give him a look.
New Hampshire could send an incredibly important signal to the rest of the nation on how important it is we get our financial house in order.
Sanford won't get the chance to make that case in his native South Carolina. Republicans are refusing to hold a First in the South primary in 2020. But here, some voters predict he could find a receptive audience with an anti-Trump, anti-Washington message.
There's a lot of dissatisfaction with D.C. right now on both sides of the line, and even moderates.
In Exeter, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Corey Lewandowski monitoring campaign fundraising before deciding on Senate race. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
We're here today to tell you good folks about Cozy Cabin Rustics Furniture and Mattress Bargain Barn. We only use real logs, hardwoods, and reclaimed barn boards to build our quality furniture. And the best prices on mattresses made by Simmons and Serta. Now at 3 convenient locations. Hey,
Former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski is back home in New Hampshire talking about his Capitol Hill testimony and the tweet he sent out during a break announcing a GOP super PAC website to help with a potential Senate run.
I have nothing to do with it other than to say my friends, and I think a lot of people from around the country want to encourage me to run for the United States Senate in New Hampshire because what they know about me is I'm a fighter.
Will you run for Senate?
You know, the end of the third quarter is about 11 days away. And what we're going to see from the announced Republican candidates is how much money they've had the opportunity to raise since they've been in this race.
He says other Republican Senate candidates would need to raise $2 million each in the third quarter to compete.
If I don't think that they can compete with Jeanne Shaheen from a fundraising perspective, I'm going to be much more inclined to get into this race.
And during his testimony, he admitted he did not tell the truth during a February cable news interview, now saying he was protecting the privacy of the special counsel's investigation, which led to this statement.
I have no obligation to be honest with the media because they're just as dishonest as anybody else.
So should the media or voters in this state believe you?
Well, look, the people of the state know me, and the media knows me. And what I was talking specifically about was a question that was an 8-second snapshot of an interview I did, which I wasn't told was coming. I don't speak for the president, but I speak with the president. And I think if I were to enter this race, I would have the support of the president.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Joe Biden hits back and reports Trump pressured Ukraine to investigate his son. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC Nightly News.
Tonight, a fiery Joe Biden on offense, attacking President Trump amid reports the president pressured his Ukrainian counterpart to investigate Biden's son.
You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader?
Biden's comments coming after the Wall Street Journal reported Mr. Trump pressed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky 8 times in a July 25th phone call to work with his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to investigate Hunter Biden for his Ukrainian business dealings, according to people familiar with the matter.
Trump's doing this because he knows I'll beat him like a drum. And he's using the abuse of power and every element of the presidency to try to do something to smear me.
Today, the president again defended his phone call. Call it the Ukraine witch hunt, he tweeted. Nothing was said that was in any way wrong. And Ukraine's foreign minister today disputing reports of any pressure from Mr. Trump. This conversation was long, friendly, and it touched on many questions. With continuing concerns about why the Trump administration delayed military aid for Ukraine, last night the Pentagon announced the U.S. will deploy additional troops and military equipment to Saudi Arabia after its oil fields were attacked last week.
The president has approved the deployment of U.S. forces, which will be defensive in nature and primarily focused on air and missile defense.
The Saudis tonight still trying to determine where the hostile missiles came from.
We hold Iran responsible for the attack, but we are investigating where the launch emanated from.
Hans, turning back to the Ukraine story, there was a new call for impeachment today.
Yeah, late this evening, Senator Elizabeth Warren renewed her call to begin impeachment proceedings against the president and appeared to reference Ukraine, saying Trump has solicited another foreign government to attack our election system.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking.
Okay, and that does it for this Sunday morning edition of Politics with Riley King. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics with Riley King. And have a great week ahead of you, everyone. Goodbye.